the man sitting, the bald man in the front, Dato Sri Azmin. Just say hello lah. What are you standing up for? Sit down. Please sit down. Why are you asking them? Sit down. I see. I told you all, isn't it? Dato Sri. No, Dato Sri is there. Where's Nash? Nash. Come.
A very good evening to Senator Professor Tan Sri Dato Dr. Haji Mohamed Haniffa bin Haji Abdullah, Dato Dr. Shahril, Dato Datins, Professors, Doctors, and all the distinguished guests and partners. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to our partnership night event titled Leading Conversation on Digital Marketing and Consumer Behavior. I'm Dr. Nancy, Deputy Dean Preclinical of Faculty of Medicine, and I'm honored to be your MC for this evening. This evening, we are gathered here to dive into the ever-changing landscape of digital marketing and sales. We explore emerging trends, analyze their implication, and brainstorm collaborative strategies to harness this innovation for greater marketing penetration and sales success. To start this evening, it is my privilege to introduce Dato Dr. Shahril Haniffa, who is the Group Managing Director of MAHSA Group, who will be sharing on the evolving digital landscape synergy of marketing and sales. Let us put our hands together to welcome Dato Shahril.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. So I'll get right to it. My topic for the day is the evolving digital landscape, a synergy of marketing and sales. So I suppose the first question is, who am I? What do I do? And why am I here? Why do I have the right to speak? So, as you know, or rather, as the MC has mentioned, my name is Dato Shahril, and I'm the Group Managing Director of MAHSA. So I've got a bit of an intro for myself. Spent all night thinking about it. So once upon a time, I was destined to heal bodies and save lives. Fast forward a bit, and I'm somehow the glorified sales guy turned GMD of the MAHSA Group. It's a long, twisted story, and one day I may share it with you, involving a questionable amount of caffeine, perhaps, and a surprisingly lack of medical expertise. By day, I juggle board meetings and spreadsheets, and by night, I'm a comic book obsessed, tech tinkering, metalhead dad of two tiny geniuses, and an honorary uncle to a horde of mini Hanifas. I'm the guy who thinks that Star Wars is a documentary, zombies are misunderstood, and rules are meant to be bent, not broken. So what do? I oversee the verticals of education and healthcare for the MAHSA Group. Our primary revenue stream includes the university, MAHSA University, colleges, MAHSA Avenue International College, which is here, MAHSA College Sabah, and Penang International Dental College. We run a school, MAHSA International School, and training academies, MAHSA Academy, and Malaysian Academic Consortium. Our secondary revenue stream is from our healthcare operations. This includes MAHSA Health, which is a primary care facility consisting of medical and dental clinics, aesthetic clinics, spa and wellness centers, as well as rehab and physiotherapy centers. We also do dialysis, and the outfit is called Nephrocare, and we've just opened our hospital, MAHSA Specialist Hospital in Bandar Saujana, Putra. So I suppose what gives me the right to speak on this topic? As I told you, I consider myself as a glorified sales person. And I'm actually quite happy and proud of that statement. Now, As the head of this sprawling education and healthcare corporation, I spent most of my years navigating this complex world of customer acquisition and retention. From kindergartens to senior citizens, our diverse clientele demands constant innovation and adaptation. To thrive in this dynamic environment, we've had to master the art of blending sales, marketing in an ever-evolving digital landscape. Or rather, I went from dreaming of white coats and stethoscopes to wrangling everything from toddlers to toothaches. As the ringmaster of this educational healthcare circus, I've learned that herding cats is easy compared to convincing kids that algebra is awesome and that adults that a colonoscopy is a spa day. To keep this chaotic menagerie entertained, I've had to become a digital dynamo, or Houdini for the older crowd, and conjuring ways to make our services as irresistible as a zombie apocalypse. So I suppose the next thing I would like to share is which generation do I belong to? So I belong to the Generation X. And the generation in which I identify to, because I was born in the 80s, which is on the cusps of Generation Y. Don't ask me why I put this there. You know, some of you may recognize the band, you know, a band that has defined my teenage years, you know, a band that has a sort of a rebellious streak attached to it. I suppose, can you tell me what band this is? I can't hear. Yeah, Nirvana. So the pioneers of the grunge era. So now, why did I bring this up? So let's start. Some of you here, perhaps from an older generation, some not really. So let's start by understanding ourselves, which I mean myself. So I belong to the Generation X, born roughly between the mid-60s and the early 80s, but like I said, I identify myself with the Generation Y. I'm called the Bridge Generation because I actually know what that is. Can some of you tell me what that is? Yeah. So we've seen the evolution from a typewriter, right, all the way down to this device, right? I remember typing on my dad's typewriter and then deciding that I've made a mistake. So then you have to sort of go and use liquid paper. And then I forgot the fact that I'm supposed to write over it. So what I decided to do was actually hit the button on it and then screw up the ribbon for every, you know. So I'm sure you can understand that the change that we've witnessed from the analog world to the digital one, and we've learned to navigate through both. We've embraced the efficiency of technology while valuing traditional work ethic and face-to-face communication, right? Because today we don't do face-to-face communication, but then again, I rather message than talk on a phone as well, you know? And I don't blame the generation that does this. So what are the strengths of Generation X? Our experience instilled valuable strengths. We've known for our resilience, adaptability, and strong work ethic. We've learned to communicate effectively across mediums and build trust through personal connections. And this is because we are the bridge generation, right? I still remember that it was there in my house back in the day, you know. That was the evolution of the phone, but we also had car phones back in the day. I don't know if some of you remember car phones. They were massive beasts. You know, you literally had to carry a suitcase and walk around, right? So today we are left with a device as small as my palm with the kind of technology that it has far superior than what they used to send the astronauts to the moon. You know, so that's how. Now, however, as Generation X, there are challenges, and we must acknowledge our limitations. The digital fluency of our younger generation surpass ours. We may not instinctively understand their online behavior and communication preferences. You know, we may not. But then again, you know, we are forced to. For example, I simply cannot digest why someone, which basically is my son, would prefer to passively watch a video game rather than to actively enjoy it firsthand. And then this brings me to my point. So there's a sense of arrogance. Now you're wondering, it's a sales talk and what's he talking about? There's a point to it at some point, I hope. So the arrogance is this. Every generation imagines itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it, and wiser than the one that comes after it. This misconception does not allow us to focus how we can curate selling to the next generation. Because like I said, the digital fluency of this generation far exceeds ours. So this is another slide, interesting. It says, do you know the generations? And I'm not going to ask you to put your hands up and volunteer. But the first generation, known as the silent generation, they were the most resilient of their kind. They had to undergo 2 world wars. The baby boomers, our parents, they had to balance retirement, caregiving, and technology. The Generation X were hardworking, adaptable, mentoring. The millennials, tech-savvy, socially conscious, and entrepreneurial. The Generation Z, adaptable, socially aware, and shaping the future. And then comes these buggers, Generation Alpha, my kids. So who is my audience, right? As I told you, my audience or my clientele extends from the elderly all the way down to this generation. This is the rise of the digital native, born never knowing, there's never been a day when they've not had the internet. Today's audience is dynamic, a mix of generations, the significant of them of millennials, but this new breed, they have never known a world without constant connectivity. If you have kids, and when the internet dies in your house, it's literally DEFCON 5. And so internet has become as important as water, electricity even. So we need to understand their world view. Can I get a glass of water? A worldview, because they consume information differently. Social media, influencer marketing, user-generated content heavily influence them. They value authenticity, transparency, and a sense of community in their interactions with brands. Sorry. But then comes the contradiction. So, the irony of criticizing younger generations for their desire for instant gratification, while businesses leverage technology for efficiency and speed, should not be lost upon us. It's paradoxical to criticize the younger generation while we benefit from the technology. And therefore, it is crucial that in order for you to sell, you have to bridge that empathy gap. We need to see the world through their eyes, understand their behavior, and tailor our approaches without prejudice. And this is extremely important. As Gen Xers, we are in a unique position that grants us a distinct advantage. We possess valuable experience and understanding of traditional marketing principles. We build brands, nurture client relationships, and close deals through face-to-face interactions and strategic messaging. Adaptability and innovation is something that we're not afraid of. Throughout our careers, we've witnessed the rise of digital technology and embraced new technologies. We've learned to navigate social media platforms, experiment with data-driven marketing, and refine our sales strategies for an online world. This unique blend of experience and adaptability makes the Gen X ideal in understanding the generation that is after us, the millennials, as well as the alpha generation. So let's talk about digital transformation. The digital landscape has changed dramatically. Marketing and sales is not how it was. You literally have to take it and throw it in the bin. Marketing is no longer solely about creating awareness, but it's about nurturing leads and driving conversions. Sales, on the other hand, is becoming more consultative and relying on data-driven insights to guide the sales process. So what are the technological innovations that are driving this evolution? So these are the ones: artificial intelligence, automation, data analytics, machine learning, social media, and content marketing. Now, AI is used for everything from lead scoring, which is a method of ranking potential customers based on their perceived value to an organization, to customer segmentation, to creating content, images, and videos. So I'm sure you're familiar with Bard, ChatGPT, Copilot, Midjourney, and the list is endless. My daughter has an event on Saturday. She's calling a group of friends to her house. She uses a software called Canvas to come up with invitation cards for her friends. You know, it's unheard of, you know, and she's able to do it for each of her friends differently. She personalizes the invitation for each of her friends. So we need to understand the generation before us. I'm sorry for that, but so how has customer behaviors changed, right? And well, consumers, or rather customers, are more informed, connected, and demanding than ever before. They expect a personalized experience, immediate response, and transparency, right? So if they message and ask that I want to know about something, they need it now. I'm sure you've got your Shoppees, your Amazons, your Lazadas. Have you ever tried using the chat functions? The response is immediate. Or rather, there's a chat bot that's giving you immediate responses, which basically is to say, I'll get back to you, you know? And to adapt to these requirements, marketing and sales teams need to focus on building trust, providing value, and delivering exceptional customer experience. It's something that we struggle with every day. I'm not saying that we have the answer, but I'm saying that this is what they want, and this is what we need to sort of deliver. However, I would like to say that, The assurance here is that the tenets of marketing are still the same, right? So can someone tell me what the 7 P's of marketing is? Let's shout it out, right? I've got my business lecturer somewhere around here. If they can't answer it, then they should be, But anyways, 7 P's. That's a really lame shout. Maybe a little bit louder. Okay, we got it. 1, 2. Product, 3, price, yeah. Some more? This is really, really lame. Physical evidence, wow. Okay, who's this person who's going? Anyways, I can't see, the light is blocking, but yes, product, price, place, promotion, people, process, and physical evidence. These things don't change, right? Now, these things don't change as well. The foundational concepts that improve sales are still the same. So scarcity, when something seems, when something is more valuable if it's less available. Authority principle, buyers are more likely to be persuaded by people they consider experts. Reciprocity, giving away valuable advice and resources to customers to encourage them to share their contact information, because ultimately that's what we're looking for. Social proof, this allows us to build trust with customers and validate buying decisions and increase conversion rates. Commitment principle, people tend to stick with the decisions they've already made, which means to say that once they buy something, they tend to stick with it. Authority, being able to position yourself as an expert in your field, as opposed to authority principle when you position others. And of course, the most important in my line of work, handle objections. There's no such thing as a no. I will destroy my sales staff if they tell me, no, they're not here, but they're probably in the other room. So it's important that you predict what those no's are, because it's always going to be the same, right? It hardly ever changes, and therefore you should tailor your responses to each customer and avoid spending too much time defending objections when you know that the objections are going to be the same, right? So then the cornerstone that drives the change today is the notion of traditional marketing or traditional sales versus digital marketing, digital sales, right? Now, what's traditional marketing? So the analogy here is traditional marketing is shouting at a crowd and hoping someone hears you, right? It's very difficult to measure, right? For example, a radio ad. How do you measure who heard it? So then what is digital marketing? It's basically whispering sweet nothings to someone's ear while they're scrolling through their phone, totally obvious of the world around them, right? So you're reading something on your phone, and then you see an ad. If you like it, you may stop. If you don't like it, you just keep moving, correct? And that's what the world is today, right? Sweet nothings are whispered in our ear. So have you ever wondered when you have a conversation with your friends, so say for example, you would like to visit Paris, and then all of a sudden your phone sort of starts showing you sites in Paris. Have you ever had that? So how does that work? So technology is so advanced that even when you think your phone is not listening, it's actually listening, which is kind of scary actually. But for marketeers, that's actually pretty decent. Now, before I get into traditional marketing or digital marketing, I think the next most important challenge is how do you align marketing and sales? Because people think it's distinctively two separate subjects, but in my eyes, and some may disagree, but I think it's two sides of the same coin. A marketeer needs to be a salesperson needs to be a marketeer. So what are these core challenges in aligning marketing and sales team? Well, first and foremost, like I said, a marketeer does not believe in sales, and a salesperson does not believe in marketing, right? And this is something that I see every day, because there are different goals and metrics. There is a lack of communication. My job is to promote. Your job is to sell. But effectively, if you don't know what you're promoting, how are you going to sell? And if you can't promote, you can't sell either. There's always a lack of communication, misaligned processes, and territory disputes. This is very common in my work because we recruit students internationally, and then people will come and tell me that, hey, can I get an exclusive contract for China? But China's a big place. And I'm not too sure that an exclusive contract may work, but just an example. And of course, lead quality issues. Database is gold in my world, and leads are even more precious than gold. But we have problems because we are unable to qualify those leads, because contact numbers shift and change or die. Email addresses can be false. And the kids today, they tend to shed phone numbers and email addresses. Like, I've had my phone number since I got my phone number. I've never changed. So how do we overcome it? It's pretty simple. We need to have shared goals and metrics. I think some of my staff here will understand how I torture them with KPIs, and I make sure that everybody knows about it. So we have to align our teams around common objectives. We need to do joint planning, which means we need to gather both teams together so that they understand that they're part of the same process. We need to have regular communication, which is obvious, right? And we have the forums for those, right? I'm a firm believer in torturing my staff with WhatsApp messages. They're all looking elsewhere right now, probably. And the use of shared tools, such as CRM, marketing automation, and analytics. And of course, cross-functional training. It's important that everybody on board understands what the requirements are for sales and marketing, not just the sales or the marketing team, the administrative team, the finance team, the procurement team. In my case, perhaps the doctors, the therapists, the teachers, etc., etc. So then, it's interesting, like I told you just now, traditional marketing is about shouting and hoping someone hears you, right? But digital marketing is pretty interesting, right? There are metrics and KPIs which we can use, which I use daily, right? To measure the effectiveness of what I do. Because you're only effective if you're able to close that lead as quickly as you can. So these are the metrics: sales pipeline velocity, right? Sales cycle length, customer acquisition cost, because it's extremely important. We don't want to waste our money. We want to make sure that we spend our money wisely. Customer lifetime value. And why is customer lifetime value very important? Because in my line of business, it is easy if you're able to capture progression of a student from undergraduate to postgraduate, because they're already with you, rather than to go out and acquire new students. You know, because they're already with you. My deans will know that I torture them on continuous education. They're shaking their heads, some of them. Or alternatively, we have a sibling, and then before you know it, 5 siblings go through MAHSA. Because it's easier when you earn that level of trust from the first customer. In healthcare, it's about creating a package for treatment and then hoping that your customer comes back again and again to complete that package before taking the next package. So the lesson here is that once you've spent your money, you might as well hold on to your customer, right? Now, sales pipeline velocity is basically the metrics that measures how quickly that sales pipeline moves from contact to a closed deal. And this is important for us because we have deadlines where we need to hit, say, a monthly P&L, a monthly KPI, and an intake KPI perhaps. And so you need to achieve that velocity so that you fill up your quota for that particular month, term, whatever. Now, I use these 2 things a lot: marketing qualified lead and sales qualified lead. We define it as those for marketing qualified lead, or MQL. We define it as a lead that has indicated interest in a brand. A lead that is a lead who has indicated interest in what a brand has to offer based on marketing efforts, or is otherwise more likely to become a customer. And a sales qualified lead is a potential customer who has been assessed by both marketing and sales teams. It'll be a little bit more clear in the next slide. Now, this is today's customer journey. It's a convoluted mess, but it makes sense in a sense that the journey is extremely complex and absolutely non-linear because customers interact with multiple brands, multiple channels, and multiple touch points. I mean, don't you? Right? So you have TV, radio, social media. Let's just take social media. There's like how many social medias, right? And therefore, a customer has to undergo this journey from need to orientation to the process of considering to making a decision to the point in which that product is delivered at your door. They're happy with the use of that product, and then they come back for more, right? So that customer acquisition thing, lifetime value thing, is actually for the last part. This entire journey is your sales pipeline velocity. So what are the touch points? Well, the touch points are like your website, social media, email, mobile app, and other customer service interactions. So let's talk about leads. When we start off, we're a stranger. We're unaware of a particular product. And then we engage. And when we engage that product, people in my industry, what we're looking for are information. What is that information? I'm not really interested in your name, but I'm more interested in your phone number and your email, because I need to call you and harass you. The best example of this will be those guys who call you to make credit card payments, right? And they call you constantly, right? They never let up. In fact, they make excellent sales staff. We should hire them, right? Because we're absolutely horrendous and horrid to these guys who call us. How many of you actually take the time to listen to what they have to say? I think the usual response is, I'm busy, even when you're not busy, and then you hang up the phone, right? Some probably don't even pick up because we have Truecaller on our phones these days, and as long as we see spam or some kind of message, we're like, okay, screw it, we're not picking it up, right? But this makes the sales staff, it makes life extremely difficult. Just to get that one phone call requires an unbelievable amount of repetitive action, right? And from that lead, to get them to engage further, right? Because ultimately what we want them to do is not just pick up the call, but visit our premise and then try out our product, right? So picking up the call is hard enough. Getting them to come is near next to impossible, right? So it is important that we are aware of every single key touch point, because in some ways it's actually us harassing them at every single, everything from phone to your website, to your WhatsApp, to literally every single touch point there is, so that they can make a decision and eventually become our customer. So, what are we looking for? We're looking for a seamless customer experience, but it's quite difficult, and therefore persistence is key. We need to hand off qualified leads immediately, because when we qualify a lead, it means that we have the basic information so that we can make or engage that particular customer. We need to provide sales with relevant customer information, and align messaging across the touch points, and ensure, of course, consistent follow-up. So this is the sales pipeline that we use across our companies. It's getting a little bit, I wouldn't say scientific, but just a little bit. So this is a general sales pipeline. Ours at MAHSA is far more complex. So it starts off with an information qualified lead, which basically means has completed a form on the website but not provided a phone number. It goes on to say that they've given an MQL, marketing qualified lead, whereby they've completed a non-decision stage form on the website and provided their phone number or pain point. A sales qualified lead is them saying that, okay, I'm willing to test your product. I'm willing to take a demo. I'm willing to visit you for an open day at your facility. And then, of course, an opportunity is created, but the work doesn't end there, because when they visit your facility, you need to convert that particular sale, and eventually you get a customer. So does this sound complicated? Does it sound complicated? Because it feels complicated, doesn't it? Thankfully, we have AI. So that you don't have to. It is already inbuilt into a system called a CRM. So what is a CRM? It collects information, it organizes customer data, improves customer interactions, and increases customer satisfaction. How would I explain this? Do you know what a Rolodex is? Do you know what a Rolodex is? Yeah, younger generation, Rolodex? They look like they're not. So a Rolodex is basically this thing where you keep name cards in, you know? You sort of keep it name cards and you can literally like spin it around, right? So imagine if you had a Rolodex, but instead of paper cards with names and numbers, it's basically a superpowered computer that knows all your customers. It remembers their favorite color, what they bought last year, and even the cat's birthday if necessary. It doesn't get lost under a pile of papers. That's basically a CRM. It's like basically having a personal assistant for your whole company, somebody that never forgets a face or your birthday. So you get emails, right? How much of those emails are just absolute junk, right? So how does that happen that this guy is constantly able to send you emails? So he or she or whatever company is, they actively use something called a CRM. Here at MAHSA, we've created our own CRM. It's taken us a long time, but we've done it, and we've customized it according to what we want. A sales funnel, or rather a customer journey, which has a marketing journey and a sales journey, right? You are able to customize it into any shape and form you want. But in order for you to do that, you must understand and know your business intimately. If you do not know your business intimately, then you cannot do this, right? Let's skip somewhere. Anyways, so how can data be leveraged to optimize marketing and sales processes? First and foremost, it is able to target your audience, or rather identify your audience, right? In the university, we have a problem. And the problem is today, kids don't want to study. And this has led to a serious drop in enrollment. I don't blame them for not wanting to study, but nonetheless, as a seller, you have to continuously sell. You can't go and tell that I can't sell. You just need to find a way. So what we found from our CRM is that while the kids don't want to study, the adults want to learn. And therefore, events like these, I'm hoping that some of you will take my MBA at some point. You know, like I said, I am a seller. But events like these are created to engage external clientele, right? Whereby they are willing to learn because such is the speed in which the world changes that adults need to be, need to constantly be at the forefront of it, right? You can't say that you don't want to know about AI. You can't say that you don't want to know about automation, right? And perhaps the kids don't understand this, but as adults, we understand it, right? It is important. And today, we find that more adults are looking to complete their education, to upgrade their education, to move from one level to another, right? From undergrad to postgrad, thanks to the benefits of innovations like Appel, right? And micro-credentials. Data allows us to personalize marketing messages, right? Now, gone are the days where I have to sit down and check emails or letters because we have ChatGPT, right? In fact, this presentation was actually done by it. And that's the power of AI. I'm not ashamed to harness it, and neither should you. We're able to optimize campaign performance, predict customer behavior, and improve sales forecasting. And this is extremely important because it's not just about capturing sales, but it's also predicting how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, and coming up with a measuring scale. For example, the conversion rate from from an IQL before to an SQL is insane, right? Our conversion rate is 1,000, is it 1,000? 1,000 leads of IQL will harness you one SQL. And that SQL converts at a rate of 0.3%, which ultimately gives you a conversion ratio of 0.001%. And that kind of tells you the scale of, or rather the hard task of a sales staff. And if you understand these metrics, you will be able to propel any business because it's mathematical. You know, it's not suppositions or assumptions, it's actual science. So, what role does customer data play in driving personalized experiences? Well, customer data is essential for creating tailored experiences. And by understanding customer preferences, behaviors, and businesses, we can deliver relevant messages and offers. So I've already touched on some of these things, but data is extremely important in what we do. We measure it every step of the way. The sales funnel allows us to measure that data, and not only measure that data, but it allows us to intervene when we need to intervene, which is extremely important, right? I have about 70 odd sales staff across various companies working for us, and we're able to predict the rate in which they convert. I don't have to wait until year end now, which I used to back in the day, to understand whether this guy is going to hit his KPI or not. I can actually forecast it now, you know, and therefore, if necessary to give him a kick up the ass, we will. If necessary to train him, we will, right? And if necessary to remove him, we will. Because ultimately, that's part of the game. So, in summary, AI, automation, and machine learning are transforming marketing and sales. Automating repetitive tasks, improving lead scoring and qualifications, personalizing customer interactions, and enhancing sales forecasting. So at this point, I suppose the question that it started off good, and then it became a little bit complex or a little bit, I don't know, mathematical, whatever it is. So to the older generation, do you think that this is going to be difficult? I don't think so. Because from my first slide, right, I think the older generation has an ability to adapt, unlike the younger generation. As I mentioned before, the children of today are born in a time in which they have never seen or never had experienced the fact that we did no internet. You know, they don't like to go play football. I tell my son to go and play football. He tells me it's too hot. You know, he'd rather play his computer. It's like next to impossible to get him on the field. You know, but that's not how we were, and definitely how not the baby boomers were, right? We are able to adapt. And there is a proverb that says, the older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune. And therefore, a well-played fiddle ages with time, produces a richer and more complex melody. Older individuals, with their accumulated wisdom and experience, often possess unique abilities to adapt and thrive, which basically means that you should not fear this technology, you should embrace it. It may look complex to you, but it's not. It's actually pretty easy to digest. I think in the old days, we had to do something. There was this book that had this sine and cosine and cos. Do you remember that book? Yeah? So those books don't exist. Some of them, they don't know what I'm talking about. But those books don't exist. I think those books were far more complex than these things. This is a walk in the park, right? So I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I think what is important today is that I would like to go back to the slide on arrogance, right? There's no one generation better than the other. Every generation has its own problems. And what is important is that we are able to collaborate together to shape the future. And the future at this present moment tends to be a bit bleak. Intergenerational collaboration is crucial for a sustainable future. By bridging the gap between generations, we are able to harness the wisdom of our elders, the energy of the youth, and the technological prowess of the present. This synergy fosters innovation, problem solving, and a shared vision for the future. Through mutual respect and learning, communities become more resilient, equitable, ensures a better world for all. So you need to understand your customer. You need to understand your customer in a sense that age does not define your customer. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to understand what they want, understand what they like, and technology allows you to customize your product and customize your services according to everybody's needs. The notion that one shoe fits all, is it's outdated, right? And we're moving from traditional AI to something called generative AI, right? And that's something that is moving right now. If you're not on the bandwagon, then you're missing it. Now, what is traditional AI and generative AI? Well, think of traditional AI as a skilled craftsman, whereas generative AI is a creative artist. Traditional AI is a person who's able to forge, a forger, but generative AI is a creator, which means to say that today's technology is called narrow-based AI, which means to say that it is able to only replicate. Tomorrow's AI will be able to create, and that will be 100 times far superior to what we have, if not 1,000. So my last slide was this. I don't know. Some of them saw it, so I was like a bit upset, you know. But so maybe this is possible, you know, because with generative AI, machines begin to think on their own. Hopefully they don't destroy us, you know. Hopefully they're just all going for a football match, you know. I don't know, right? So I have a conclusion, and my conclusion is this. I hope today's talk has illuminated some dynamic interplay between sales and marketing. It's too much to get into. It's the topics I tried to simplify. I hope I've succeeded. It's an interesting landscape trying to understand human connection because it's difficult. But before diving into the mechanics of selling, we must understand or grasp the nuances of human behavior, values, and desires. Only then can we create products and experiences that truly resonate. The era of one size fits all is over. I think I just said that. Consumers crave personalization, even in education. Consider the digital realm. Individuals spend more customizing their devices than purchasing core functionalities. I'm sure you've seen that we spend more time looking at how good our phone looks like these days rather than even wondering about the apps inside. This trend underscores the imperative to design offerings that empower individuals to express their unique identities. Ultimately, success hinges on bridging the gap between technology and human experience. And with that, I'm done. So, thank you. And no, you can sit. I'm not done. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if there's any questions, so I'd rather not take it, but then if I have to, I will. But please go ahead. I'm just joking.
I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
I don't want to use it.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. The light is like, it's right in my face, but I will move though. No, it's okay. I can move. Yes, we know who you are. Yeah.
Dato mentioned, my name is Dato. I like to do marketing. So inside this bag is a brochure here, and at the back you can see MAHSA Group of Companies. You can see remittance side down there, border can limit. We do remittance and cross-border transfer. Okay, Dato, thank you for the time.
I thought that was a question, but unfortunately, I've trained monsters.
Now I come to the question.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
In terms of sales and marketing, I have a lot of time or opportunity to work with you. And then I would like to ask if you can share your best closing speech or your best closing pitch for any sales terms.
Sorry, I didn't understand that question.
No, when we try to close a deal, when we work with the buyer, and then there are certain pitch that you use to ensure that they come on board with us.
Okay, so the pitch. Yeah. Okay. So the pitch that I usually work is you don't need this product. Yeah. For some reason it works. I usually try to recruit students to study, and they always ask me, why is this university better than the other? And my answer is always, well, then go there. And for some reason, they keep coming here. So I think that the foundational concepts of sales, like I mentioned, the question of scarcity, and the temerity of the fact that you really don't want a sale might actually encourage a sale. So yeah, I hope that answers. Any other questions? And hopefully not for my staff. So anyways, I take it there's no questions. Thank you. And there's food at the other end. Oh, that's your work, is it? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Dato, please remain on the stage. Can I please invite Senator Professor Tan Sri Dato Dr. Haji Mohamed Haniffa bin Haji Abdullah to present the token of appreciation to Dato Shahril today.
I hope it's a
Tan
car.
Sri, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that? Oh, okay. We missed it. Thank you.
Okay, take one more. Okay.
Thank you, Dato.
Thank you.